I'm Pamela Roussos, Chief Community Officer at Miller Center.
I'm Nwachu, Chief Innovation Officer at Innovation Works in Baltimore.
So Miller Center has been working with social entrepreneurs now for over 16 years. We've worked with over 1,000 and mostly focused in emerging markets. And about 2 years ago, Frank Knott of Innovation Works approached us to say, was there a way that we could be working together in the context of Baltimore, in the urban context? Could the methodology that we've created over this time be localized, contextualized for social entrepreneurs that are in Baltimore working to solve problems in the Baltimore neighborhoods? And that started us on the journey that has taken us to here. So Jay, I mean, when you have been thinking about partnering with Miller Center, what did you see as the value of that partnership?
Sure. I mean, one of the first things that was most important was that while we've had an uptick of entrepreneurship activity and development activity in Baltimore over the last decade especially, you can tell by the number of co-working spaces or development programs that have existed. Those activities have been going well, so we know that there's energy. But the one thing we lacked in Baltimore was an organized ecosystem, essentially, and a platform that can take something from idea to scale. We just did not have that. We had a bunch of individual actors doing things and develop entrepreneurs, but nothing to really connect the system. So what the Miller Center partnership first gave us was a proven methodology, which we just needed, right? We didn't have to go build it from scratch and take the next 10 years to figure it out. So that's extremely helpful. Another one is that you have the stage-based program that it allows an entrepreneur to come in at any stage along their journey, right? And then you can walk them through and you have structured ways that you meet them where they are. That was extremely important for us as well, because once again, in Baltimore, we have organizations that exist in their own stages, but not necessarily connected to each other. So what we're able to do is take the Miller Center platform and actually overlay it over the other things that already exist in Baltimore and be able to provide a pipeline from idea to scale. I mean, that's probably one of the best things that Baltimore could have received through the partnership. And then what it also did was give us an opportunity to engage the many different aspects of Baltimore in one model, right? So when you think about the mentor network, Baltimore is a place where we tend to be divided by class, right? There's a huge racial and neighborhood wealth divide. And in trying to solve a problem, you have people working in silos, right? You have folks with resources on one end trying to figure things out, folks in neighborhoods on one end trying to figure things out, nonprofit leaders trying to figure things out in their own bucket. What this model allows us to do is actually bring everyone together under one model. So you have mentors working with neighborhood-based entrepreneur leaders. You have the other organizations that are supporting entrepreneurs finding a way to plug into our platform. And then you have organizations that already exist that simply want to be more sustainable for the future, being able to leverage the same platform, right? To be able to strengthen their work and in turn, doing better for the communities that we are intending to serve anyway. I mean, it's just nice to have one platform where many people can plug in and then you actually see an ecosystem form versus individual actors not necessarily talking to each other because collaboration is expensive.
Yeah, and that brings up a really good point because, through this platform, as Jay was talking about, of which Miller Center and our methodology is a piece of that, it's taken us basically 2 years to get to this point. I mean, we've been having conversations for over 18 months with Innovation Works, sharing our methodology, sharing about how we build and train our mentor network, which is a key part of our secret sauce, if you will, at Miller Center and working with social entrepreneurs. And so it wasn't done overnight. I know that you and Frank spent a lot of time figuring out, well, what's in place, what do we, and so what's there already, so what don't we have to recreate that's there, and then where are the holes, and then what needed to get stitched together. But the point is that didn't happen overnight. And I think that that's one thing that partnerships suffer from when they fail, is that people they underestimate the investment of both time and dollars in building something that can be so catalytic.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there are some areas where, so we look at the Miller model, and then we shop it around Baltimore and get feedback from community members, residents, other philanthropic leaders, and say, how will this land in Baltimore? And we learn a lot from that, right? So there were adjustments that were made, not necessarily to the Miller model, but to how the Miller model was going to fit into Baltimore, right? So our neighborhood strategy is something that's not part of the Miller model, but it feeds directly into the Miller model. We could have made a decision to simply leverage the network of mentors from the Miller Center, but it was important for us to have local mentors in Baltimore that knew the context, because then they can help support the entrepreneurs better, right? But we didn't just cut it off there. We then said, well, our local mentors need to have access to the Miller mentors because they've had years of experience doing some of this type of mentoring. While our mentors in Baltimore have been mentoring in their corporations for many, many decades, mentoring social entrepreneurs is somewhat different, right? So also leaning in on the knowledge that you have already built to be able to support us. I mean, so those those things are not gonna happen overnight.
Right.
We have to put a lot of effort into what it means to build a local network of mentors that understand what we're trying to do and can also get from the experience that Miller's already had over the years. Those are just little nuances and ways that the partnership is going to take some time to build over time, because it's a lot that you guys have done for the last 16 years.
And so, in our curriculum, when we're working with the social entrepreneurs, we talk about partnerships because as small organizations, there are going to be resource strapped, again, that talent as well as financially strapped. So we always talk to them about value exchange. What is the value exchange that's happening between the two organizations? And it needs to be equal, and it needs to, be something that's heavy. And you heard from Jay already about what Miller Center was providing to them, a platform that's been invested in for over 16 years, the curriculum, methodology, mentor networks. And for us at Miller Center, what's really important is that we want to see social entrepreneurs thrive, be successful, grow their impact. And we know that we can't do it all of ourselves. And we know that we don't have the local context and such that an organization like Innovation Works has. And so for us, that was the value exchange, and being able to grow the number of social enterprises that are out solving problems of poverty and protecting the planet. So that's kind of a way to think about this too. So we've done a boost together in Baltimore. You're about to launch the GSBI online program, which you'll be program managing using our platform, our content, and both Miller Center mentors working with Innovation Works mentors, supporting that.
When we talk about walking with others, when we talk about meeting people where they are, the SEs are meeting the mentors where they are, and the mentors are meeting the SEs where they are. And that in itself is the value exchange I really appreciated in watching the SEs and how they're operating. There's not necessarily a power dynamic play going on here, right? SEs understand that they're extremely valuable because they know their context, and mentors know they're valuable because they have done something with themselves, right? And I think that's a magic that we hope to see play out in Baltimore.
Well, I mean, I'm really looking forward to continuing the journey and the accompanying Innovation Works, and continuing to see how and what else we can build together. As we said, we've started on this journey, but I know that both organizations are truly committed to this partnership, and I am very, very grateful for that.
Yeah, and I'm going to share one more thing, if you don't mind. One other insight that I would share, a third insight, is that beyond just watching the mentors and the SCs, do their work together here for 7 days, I've been really comforted by how many of the mentors have come to me to ask about what's going on in Baltimore and how they can support the work in Baltimore. There seems to be a hunger from the mentors to want to also do work domestically, right? And folks have volunteered. This is where my skill is. This is what I understand. How might you be able to use this in Baltimore? Folks have poured out and said, let us know how we can be of support. And that I really appreciate, because I think it just speaks to the fact that your mentors trust you at Miller Center to know that if you're going to this partnership, there's a reason why. and they're willing to walk with you at Miller Center in order to meet Baltimore where it is, right? And bring the resources. And the last thing we want is to have to go beg your mentors to want to support our work too, but they want to jump in.
Yep.
And I really, really appreciate that. And I think the energy on the Baltimore side is just the same, right? SCs are looking to figure out, okay, what is going on in other parts of the world? What's going on the West Coast? Our mentors are just as hungry to talk to your mentors. So I really appreciate what's going to happen once we start bringing people together.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.